Hello, Arts and Sciences. Happy New Year. Happy Epiphany, which is January 6th. It's the 12th day of Christmas, Three Kings Day, El Dia de los Reyes in my family. I wanted to prepare a few remarks ahead of our all-college meeting on January 6th. And frankly, I've been kind of struggling with what to say to you. As you know, we're about to start the new year on time, but you do have the option, faculty have the option of starting the first 2 weeks either remotely or in person as previously planned, with the expectation that after January 21st, we will be back fully in person. I know that there's a lot of uncertainty, especially if you are caregivers, either of family members, young and old, with the Omicron variant of the coronavirus. So I also am in that situation where I have an elderly parent in the house and also a school age kid, and just kind of managing all of those things. So we're in this together. I'm hoping that we can solve the problems as they come, and also that we can bring a little bit of light into the classroom and for each other this semester, because the days are getting longer now. There are just a couple things that I wanted to share about, in addition to celebrations and welcoming new folks, which we will do at the all-college meeting. We will also be hosting Dr. Laura Lee Kishly, who is an expert in academic harassment and workplace bullying behavior. This is her scholarly area of interest. I've worked with Dr. Keashly in other formats, providing people with some language around what is academic harassment. And you might be wondering, why are we talking about this when we've got things to do? And I will tell you that yes, we have things to do. We have goals we want to meet, projects we want to complete. All of that is really much harder when the culture in our workplace is toxic or unpleasant. And so it's really important to me that we identify what academic harassment is, what workplace bullying looks like, and that we don't accept it. We don't accept that as normal workplace behavior in academia, or any workplace for that matter. And so if we start saying, or if we have been saying, oh, that person is very difficult to deal with, we just, don't let what they say bother you. Or if people feel silenced in their departments and can't share their great ideas or feel like they're not valued, that's really going to impede our progress toward all the goals that we want to make, whether it's faculty hiring, staff retention, creating new programs and new curricula that benefit students, being able to advise students and mentor students. So all of these things are not possible if we have a workplace that is impeding our ability to do those things. So that's why I believe it's really important that we spend an all-college meeting on this topic, learning about it. Dr. Keashly has agreed to give us this talk for free because she is very committed to this topic and educating people around this issue. Now, after the meeting, we will be sending out a poll from the dean's office to see what is it that you want next after hearing about that. Do you want some training, bystander intervention training, for how to intervene when you see that kind of behavior happening? Should we have department chair training on how to help department chairs and support department chairs in addressing this work? So we will send that out to all of you, faculty and staff and department chairs, and see what you think. And based on that survey, then we will hold some additional trainings or meetings, depending on your feedback. So thank you so much for attending, either in person or live, I should say, or watching the recording afterwards, so that we can really get a good sense of what it is that you would like to see. The other things that are happening, we're in the thick of faculty hiring right now. Many searches going on, exciting candidates. I'm really looking forward to welcoming new faculty. We also received some approvals for additional faculty hiring in this new year. So there's going to be a lot of work around that. And I want to thank all of you who are involved in meeting with candidates, being search committee chairs, which is really heavy lifting, and doing all that work to help us recruit, but also think about what it is that you're dreaming of in your department. So I really appreciate the work that you're all doing with that. In addition, one of the things that's on my agenda for this semester is revisiting Vision 2024 and just taking an inventory on how are we doing on all of the things that were listed in terms of the goals that were in that document. We haven't taken a real close look at it since the pandemic because of the pandemic, but I also don't want to lose sight of the work that you've done with that. So I will be reviewing that and checking in with those of you who were in charge of particular projects or working on those particular projects as the semester goes on. I also want to acknowledge that there's still ongoing fatigue among faculty and staff. And so that's something that I will be monitoring throughout the semester, just trying to make sure that we're not overburdening people when we can help it in terms of doing that. I have noticed, and this is something that you might have seen in some of the writings that I have shared with you in the blog posts, that people are scaling back on some of their committee work. I expected that, and I even gave permission for that, if I could give permission for something like that, but just acknowledging that sometimes we just need to focus on what's important. What that means also is that some things might take a little bit longer for us to accomplish or complete because we have fewer people working on it or people have stepped back. So I ask for grace also in terms of things that we're doing in the dean's office, but also college-wide projects, so that you understand why some things might be moving a little bit slower than you had wanted. But I still feel confident that we'll achieve the goals that we value and the goals that we set out in terms of academic excellence, building inclusive community, and cura personalis. So that is all, I feel good about that. Just it might take a little bit longer. Speaking of cura personalis for professional development for faculty and staff, you might have remembered how last year we shifted to a cura personalis professional development because no one could go travel anywhere for their conferences. And then I surveyed the faculty and staff over this or in the spring to make some determinations of how we would spend the travel fund this academic year. At the moment of this recording, we are still saying this is a travel fund that you can tap into to present at a conference or to participate significantly in a conference. At the same time, I know that many conferences are going virtual or offering virtual options and that people are choosing that. And so with the new year, I'm going to be looking at how much of that travel fund we have spent and whether we're going to revert back to a cura personalis definition of the travel fund for the rest of this academic year. So stay tuned for that. At the same time, there is a group of faculty and staff across the college, different ranks, different departments, who are providing some advisory capacity to me about the future of that travel fund. So should we really restrict it only to travel when we know that in certain disciplines, other activities can also serve as career development? And so that group, we've met several times, they've asked for data, I've provided some data for them, and we are trying to come to terms with what is the most equitable and career supportive way of using those funds next academic year. So I hope to, we're having another meeting this month, and I hope to have some information for you later this semester so that you can plan ahead. But I'm really thankful to this group for asking great questions, asking for data to inform the decision, and providing some information about what they need at different career stages, different titles, staff and faculty, and also across the disciplines, because there is no one size fits all approach. So thank you so much. So with that, I'm going to close this mini address. I hope that I see many of you at the January 6th meeting live. I expect that you will have questions about what's going to happen this semester, and we will have some time for that. And then we'll get into the meat of academic harassment and how we can make this an even more inclusive community, and a community where everyone can thrive and contribute to the life of this wonderful place. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.